This is Seafood David Ross, and welcome once again to the Lions Roar podcast. Tonight, I want to talk to you about ranking, and this is somewhat related to something I talk about all the time, which is that tension between the fact that we can't organize truth, but yet we need expedient means because some kind of organization is necessary to meet people at their level and get them to learn something. So, the first observation is that rank is completely arbitrary. It's completely made up. I doubt there's any Chinese martial arts system that had any kind of official ranking, 100 years ago. It's all within the last 100 years. And you could even argue that all martial arts ranking is a relatively recent, like 150, 160 years, because Kano came up with it for judo. And of course, judo being so influential, it influenced a lot of people. But ranking is completely arbitrary. It's not important other than as an expedient means, which is to organize the material and present it to people. So one of the first things I want to say is that I'm always amazed when, we have. There's a reason that everybody's ranking systems, and I mean the majority of people, is relatively the same because, like I said, it all came from judo. So whether you're in Korean art, Japanese art, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, there's certain ideas like black belt, white belt, black belt, green belts, blue belts, So I'm always amazed when some martial arts people have to try to always, come up with something new and something weird and something, obtuse, hard to comprehend. The world is so used to, like I said, white, yellow, green, blue, purple, brown, red, brown, black, that kind of stuff. It's one of the reasons to adopt the ranking system is it makes it easier to appeal to people because, again, it's an expedient means. By making it something so different, you're kind of undoing the expedient means part of it, which is, the easiest way to meet people at their level. Most people are prepared for these kind of things because, maybe they did some karate or they did some taekwondo or some judo, or they've heard about these things. So I'm always kind of surprised when I see people that do these ranking systems where, it's a black belt, but it's the first belt, but it has a stripe in it. But then there's another stripe in it. Then there's lines on it. I just go why are you making life so difficult? And then they have to find, people that sell these kind of belts as opposed to any martial arts place you can go, I want a yellow belt. They're going to go, yeah, sure, we have it. I want a green belt. Yeah, sure, we have it. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel. If you look at the, New Martial Revolution online curriculum, and if you know what I say about ranking, again, I'm always talking about that, tension between you can't organize truth and expedient means. I say it's completely arbitrary and artificial and in a way imaginary because, I don't really teach that way. But if I'm going to do it in order to meet people on a certain level, I just use sort of a standard system. I don't understand why people, like I said, try to create their own, redo the wheel, reinvent the wheel. But again, ranking is so arbitrary. I mean, what I don't like about it is how meaningless it has become. Because, I was told once that Japanese martial arts originally went to 5th degree only. And then, when I was around, 7th and 8th was sort of standard for very, very respected masters, and 9th was the thing, and there was no 10th. These people are 12th and 14th degree black belts. I mean, just ridiculous stuff. Excuse me. Look at Shuijiao. As far as I'm aware, Cheng Dongsheng, during his generation, there was no rank. So they had to create ranks. So it's even unclear how did his students, his direct students, get their rank, and how did they determine what's a rank? It seems like obviously in Taiwan they were influenced by judo, and a lot of people that did start training in Shuijiao in Taiwan, not the ones that came over, had judo backgrounds. Judo was very popular in Taiwan still. It's arbitrary. In other words, So they ranked them, and then they started ranking their students. But I can also tell you, I'm not going to name names, but it's very simple. There are people that gave themselves their own rank, and of course that happens in every martial art, and if you've been in the martial arts community, you know that there are people that rank themselves. And one person in Shuijiao not only ranked themselves, they just created a rank that never existed before. Create a title that never existed before. And rank is sort of, related when it's negative, when it's at its worst, as opposed to just sort of being expedient means to arrange material. That's at its best. At its worst, it's, so that I'm better than you, I'm in charge of something, I'm higher ranked, I'm special. Very simple. I trained Shuijiao more than 30 years ago, as everybody knows. I did not remain in the school. I continued to train Shuijiao. I was asked to come back in and take over the material so that it would be passed on. So they gave me rank. 1 minute I was unranked, the next minute I was ranked. I'm still exactly the same person that knew exactly the same amount of material and was just as capable or not capable. The rank didn't change anything. Of course, though, the fact that someone gave me rank made other people upset about that rank that I got. That's how meaningless rank is. Were you upset before I had the rank? Did you care before I had the rank? Or now you care because I have the rank? Do you care that someone gave me a rank if a rank doesn't mean anything? I would argue that if you thought that I knew what I was doing, it didn't matter if I had rank or not. And if you thought that I didn't know what I was doing, it wouldn't matter whether I have a rank or not. And then the other thing I say about this kind of stuff is, why do you care what I'm doing anyway? Because it has no effect upon you. I don't know if I've done this in the podcast, my pizzeria analogy, where people think that martial arts, the martial arts world is like one pizza. So if I have 6 slices, it's 6 slices less than you can eat. And really what the world is it's a pizzeria, meaning I can order pizza. You can come in and order a pizza. You can have, you can come in tomorrow and order another pizza. Somebody can come in and order 2 pizzas. What I have has nothing to do with you. So, just like I don't go to pizza and go, walk into a pizzeria and go like to the guy next to me like, oh my God, why are you ordering that pizza with that topping? Or not with that topping, or, or Sicilian as opposed to, Napolitan or whatever. I mean, who cares? A lot of these things we go, what? You wouldn't think to tell somebody what kind of pizza to order. But again, that's why I sort of hate this stuff. It's just meaningless. When I originally was doing the New Martial Revolution ranking scheme, I stuck to that original Japanese plan, which is only going to do 5 degrees of black belt. And, like, as I've said before, in Judo, in Japan, first degree is like a varsity jacket. It's like you've done it enough that you're really proficient. And then, second and third becomes levels of higher achievement and understanding, and and being able to teach it. And then fourth and fifth are really like honorary levels, about organization, and running organizations and training not just high-level competitors, but coaches, a teacher's teacher, which is what Shihan originally meant, and has been blown out of proportion, of course. And even that, it's like, it's completely artificial. But, then in Shuijiao they were talking about, well, there's 8ths, there's 9ths, and then, of course, this 10th came along, Where do we get 10 degrees? I don't know. I guess in Judo they had them. Taekwondo, when I did Taekwondo, 9th was it. And again, it was political because Pongki Kim, who was my Taekwondo teacher, was 8th forever. But he had trained people that were 9th. And so how can you be somebody's student but be higher ranked than them? Well, because of who they were. And then at the very end, they made my Taekwondo teacher 9th. But again, it was the same teacher, the same guy that had trained people, for decades. A lot of the Taekwondo teachers on the East Coast were originally his students in Korea, and they came here and got really successful and got ranked up. And he was, 8th, and I think maybe when he first got here, he was only 7th. I'd have to ask around about that. But I think that's my recollection. So, ranking is just this, artificial thing. Now, again, it can be useful if I'm trying to get people that have a background in karate or taekwondo or another martial art to come and look at my material, like New Martial Revolution. Well, I arrange it. It's useful to arrange material. Okay, there's this material on this level, this material on this level, this material on this level. It's not necessarily taught in that way. Like I said, it's kind of imaginary, because I don't go like, oh, we have a white belt class and a green belt class and a blue belt class and a brown belt class. I do what's called a rotating curriculum, which maybe I should talk about in another podcast. But this ranking thing, like I said, it was useful, and again, when they offered me a rank, I thought, like, well, they'll give me a black belt, just proficiency. And I really didn't care. And what was annoying about this was that so many other people cared that it became just like a killjoy. I don't know what the right word is for it, but it's like, why do people care so much about these things? And of course, if I had wanted rank, and everybody knows this story, right? There is another student of Chang who has an organization who I knew fairly well, and who offered me rank, and that was in like 1994. So that's like 26, 27 years ago. If I had wanted rank, I could have had rank 27 years ago. And of course, I didn't ask for it because I wasn't interested in it. I told them politely I wasn't interested in it. It wasn't an insult. It wasn't a slap in the face. And honestly, this thing with, making sure that Shui Jiao goes on in the particular lineage that I'm associated with. But what's interesting is, I originally did it for Master Cheng. I wanted to do something nice for him, good for him, worthy of him. But of course, he's passed. And so that's the other thing about this, is like, the Hoist Gracie line, which is that a belt only covers 2 inches of your ass, of your butt, whatever you have to say for not safe for, safe for work kind of things. At some point, we're all just responsible for ourselves. The common thing about, like, oh, what would Chandai-san say? And I say, first of all, Chandai-san was around when I was training people the way I was training them, and had no problem with it whatsoever. Chandai-san was also not the most traditional person, because he had a lot of different teachers, so he didn't follow one teacher's lineage and method. He had his own way of doing things, and I expected us to do the same thing. At some point, you're not really honoring your teacher or their particular tradition. As a matter of fact, at some point, what you're doing is you're stagnating and you're choking the tradition. If you don't move it forward, if you don't make it relevant for what's going on today. That would be my argument. If you keep it exactly the way it was, for example, in the Koshu Academy in 1932, it's a different world, and different people, and a different context. The people that are coming to train in my gym are not the people that went, at 15 to be cadets, military cadets, and trained at Central Goshu. You have to change the context. You can use some of the pre-existing context, obviously there was rank that came out of, probably from Goshu, but, like I said, probably influenced by Judo as well, particularly in Shui Jiao. But call it what it is. But then again, the International Wushu Federation now has this Dubon thing, and it's just a huge mess, and it's a mutual admiration society, and there's one here in the United States on the East Coast, again, rank is not being used as an expedient means. It's being, used to, like, the rubber chicken, dinner kind of thing. Like, I'm going to pat you on the back, you're going to pat me on the back, and we're both going to promote ourselves to, like, ridiculous levels. And I'm not sure what for. Like I said, really the underbelts are more important than all these, whether you're a 4th Dan or 5th Dan, 7th Dan, 10th Dan, Grand High Exalted Poobah, Master. I mean, think about the titles. I mean, Sifu is sort of, a standard title, though as people have pointed out, generally it's used by the students to their actual teacher. People don't walk around necessarily calling strangers Sifu, but, a little bit, because, like, everybody's Sifu so-and-so, Sifu so-and-so. But, like, Sigong is something that's only used when you're talking about lineages, in your lineage. You never call someone Sigong. At least you didn't used to. And like I said, there's sensei, which is, a standard term in Japanese, and shihan was, originally somebody that taught multiple sensei. It's the teacher of teachers. But you can see how these things have just gotten blown out of proportion completely. And the reason, like I said, for doing it is that, if I have a better title, if I have a higher rank, I can create my own organization, or I can claim control of an organization. And it's just so pathetic how some of these things are. The teacher dies, and the pattern is the same. Teacher dies, and then everybody wants to take over. A real Krishnamurti moment would be saying, what is it you're trying to take over, and why are you trying to take it over, and can you really take it over? It's the Groucho Marx things. I wouldn't want to belong to any organization that would have me as a member, much less I wouldn't want to run any organization that would let me run it. This has been my original ideas. I mean, like I said, no good deed goes unpunished, is the saying. So, I wanted to do something good for someone I respected, and preserve tradition, which I do serve in general anyway. If you look at what I'm doing, I'm preserving Chinese martial arts, but I'm preserving them in the way that I see is what I believe is best. I was going to say what I see fit, but that sort of has a negative connotation to it. But as, again, knowing that the context is different, what is the best way to keep it going in this context? But I'm really, so not into ranking and titles and all this stuff. And like I said, I feel like saying, like, I have no... in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, for example, I have rank. Do you know what it is? No, because I've never said it. I've joked that a lot like Eric Paulson, I think I was a white belt for like 15 or 17 years or something, because rank in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was so political. But then I got rank through several different people. And some of that is, well, if you, just like sort of with Shuijiao, if you've been training for, 30 years, 17 years, you should get some rank. But some of it was also political. And so that's why I don't like talking about that rank, because, and also, my interest in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was always, one, not necessarily gi. I'm not really a big gi Jiu-Jitsu person. And second of all, either Vale Tudo or for MMA, I'm not interested in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as the complete art, so to speak. So that would explain why I don't really talk about rank in it. Same thing with Shuijiao. I've been doing Shuijiao, you can look back at DVDs that I did starting in 2004. So, 16, 17 years ago. I was doing Shuijiao as part of what I was doing. Now, the difference being that I did the Shuijiao that I thought was most useful for no uniform, because we were doing mostly Sanda and MMA. I was doing the things that I thought was the most practical and useful. I was doing them with my own flavor. Then when you want to, sort of take over someone's tradition, you have to sort of, bring along with it the baggage, so to speak. I'm getting a little tired of the baggage, I guess, is what I'm saying. And just the stuff that people say. Again, if you don't think I'm qualified, it shouldn't bother you, right? If there's a crazy guy on the corner, with a tinfoil hat talking about how, the world is going to come to an end because aliens are coming, most people don't take them that seriously. Though maybe that's not true anymore in the world we live in, with the 33% of the American population believing the most absurd conspiracy theories. But I think you sort of get what I'm getting here, which is that, and then the argument is, do I know what I'm doing? Well, have I trained a lot of people that are really good? Yes. Have I had people, for example, regarding Shuijiao, do I have people that threw people in Sancho, Sanda, and MMA? Yes. So, must have known something. And I've said before, I'm the conduit. Don't worry about me. I'm a messenger. Don't worry about the messenger. Worry about the message. Don't worry about the tube that the water comes from. the water is what's important. I'm just the tube that the water is going through. It's pure water from the top of the mountain, and it'll go right into your sink, and I'm just the tube bringing it down from the mountain. I don't know what else to say. These are just some thoughts tonight. I'm David Ross. Thank you so much for tuning in, and have a pleasant evening.